In the quest to find purpose, we could all use a little clarity. A second chance to see the not so obvious. 9 years ago, in the beauty of Colorado's mountains, Tami and Clay found one another and a beautiful life together. A life of goals and dreams.
He's been talking about it for as long as I've known him, just wanting to do it. And one day we were in the kitchen, he said, I really want to do this. I said, do it, why not, do it.
Clay's dream to become a pilot. This year was his time. It would mean time away from the family in flight school in Jacksonville, Florida.
He was getting up every day and really excited to go to school. He was just living his dream, and I could see how happy that was making him.
Every day they would talk and text. 1 week before his final exams, Clay sent this.
He said that he had just heard our song, and he quoted our favorite lyric from our song, and that was the last thing that he texted me.
Their wedding song. Just after hearing it, Clay met up with some flight students at the pool where they started to play a game, seeing who could swim the most laps underwater without coming up for air. Clay was winning until he stopped breathing.
The first thing I noticed was how young, and handsome he was, and that there was no trauma. I didn't appreciate any kind of bruising or anything like that. My first question really to the captain on scene was, where's his family? Who's spoken to his people? His parents, his wife, whoever.
She said, I have your husband Clayton here, where I'm in the emergency room. He's been in a drowning accident and he has a traumatic brain injury, and we don't expect him to survive.
Clay had suffered a shallow water blackout. Essentially, he fainted underwater after holding his breath so long.
That was that phone call that you never think you'll actually get.
Dr. Griniger made the call to Tami.
What really struck me was the sweetness. Such a sweetness on the other end of the phone that when I heard her voice, I just thought, this can't end the way that I am afraid that it's going to.
How about this?
And as I was talking to her, I could hear her children in the background.
Hey, train is coming.
And so, right away I was like, oh my God, he's got babies.
She said, you need to get on a flight tonight, and you need to be in Jacksonville tonight, because I think tomorrow morning is going to be too late.
Seeing little signs of life, Dr. Griniger decided to try therapeutic hypothermia.
At that point, I did sort of just lean over and whisper to him, you got to come back. It's not your time yet. Your family needs you. You need to get back in your body. To say that it broke my heart is not an exaggeration. And I did go home that night and I lit candles and I said prayers and I prayed for a miracle.
Tami and her sister had to find a way to get to Clay. They took a red-eye to Boston and a second flight to Jacksonville. They didn't get there until the next morning.
And on that second flight, we landed, and I just remember looking at my sister and I said, he's not going to make it. And at that moment, I completely lost hope.
And then hope appeared.
I will never forget the moment that I made eye contact with him because I'd examined his eyes. That's part of my neurological exam. I knew what his eyes looked like. But when I saw his eyes, they were empty. And now I was looking in his eyes and Clay was there looking back at me. And I just remember telling him that, he was a gift to me.
Next thing I remember, I'm in a hospital bed surrounded by people. I remember coming out of the coma, it's kind of like a dissolve out shot. Everything dissolves out and there's people all around there.
3 days had passed and somehow Clay was awake and communicating.
These nurses and doctors, some were crying, some had looking at me like I was a ghost, some just...
Clay remembers nothing of what happened and everything about how he felt.
Yeah, I don't fear death anymore, but I want to live my life to the fullest. Never have I felt, so much peace and unconditional love and lack of fear, but desire to live every single moment. I love this weather.
Me too.
It's so quiet.
And miracles do happen, and if you're paying attention, you just might catch a glimpse.
For Clay, a husband and father, things seem clearer now.
Oh, here we go.
He was looking for a purpose. All this time, it was right by his side.
Come on, you gonna jump? Jump? Jump?
We can get through anything.
Jump?
You
Jump?
really can.
Jump?
I'm convinced of that now.
Jump?